Welcome, watercolor artists. If you want some great advice on learning what colors do or don't do, watch this video. So what I highly recommend doing is taking your color, taking a brand new piece of paper, and doing a couple tests. And this is going to tell you everything the color does or doesn't do. Another thing you can do too is if you can find the color charts by the manufacturers. These tell you whether the colors are staining, non-staining, granulating, non-granulating, everything else. It tells you all the details about it. The problem is you have to have a Hubble space scope to be able to read this stuff. The type is so small I can't tell what this does or doesn't say on it. What you want to do is you want to test it on the same paper that you like to paint on. Every type of paper is going to have different results. What I do with colors, especially new ones, make sure it's emulsified. So I put the color down. First it's just a blob, square, rectangle, just to see what it looks like. And then I'm trying to get an even mixture across the whole surface here. So it's just a solid mixture of the color. Then I'm going to rinse off the brush, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this color, I'm going to come into here, and I'm going to do a graduated wash. Now you can do graduated washes at an angle. I'm not going to do that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse the brush off with water. I'm going to come back and just let the water touch and kiss this area. Bring this down over here. Rinse the brush off again. Should be clean water. I have a little yellow still on that brush. And just go from dark to light. And if you still have some color, just wick it up a little bit. There'll still be a little bit there. So I went from dark to light with a graduated wash. Now I'm going to make another square here, and this is going to become my square that's going to tell me whether this color stains or doesn't stain. So I'm going to do the same thing I did up top here. And I'm going to... Now with granulating colors, you can usually tell if a color is granulating right away. If it looks like it's got the reticulated pattern on the paper, it's a granulating color. Colors are granulating or they're non-granulating. Most of the blues are granulating, which is how you can tell if artwork is AI generated, because if there's no granulation in the blues, I'm like, nope, that's AI. They will eventually get that right, I'm sure, but right now they're not. Now we're going to let this dry, and then we're going to do a test to see if the color does stain the paper or does not stain the paper. So I'm going to use a hairdryer here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to test the paper to see whether it's staining or non-staining. And this has to be 1000% dry. If it's not dry, the color is going to come off too easily. It won't give us a true idea if the color does stain or not. Come back in here with clean water and a brush. And flat brushes are really good for this also. I'm using a round right now. And just go back and agitate the color. I call this waking up the kids. Kids don't like this. And if it looks like the color is coming off pretty easily, that's usually a sign of the color that's not a non-staining color. Now, the more you go back and forth, the more the color should come off the paper. What we're checking to see is if there still is some color left in the paper. Now this almost completely pulls off the paper. There is still a little bit of color left in the paper, but this tells me that this color is mostly non-staining. And the harder you scrub, the more of this you could probably get off. Use a clean paper towel. So this tells me that the color doesn't stain the paper. So just a couple seconds of just a few tests will tell you a lot of information about a paint. This is Green Gold by Winsor Newton, and I'll make some notes here. I'll take my pencil and I'll write down that this is green gold. And Winsor Newton's green gold. And I do WN. And then the other thing you have to watch out for is you want to make sure that you know what the pigment, actually what is inside this tube. It may be called green gold, but you got to find out what it's made of. And this is made of pigment PY129. So you definitely want to put that number there too. PY129 might not be called green gold by other manufacturers. It might be called something different. So if you fall in love with this color, PY129 might have a different name by different manufacturers, but it might be the exact same paint. Sometimes it's more expensive, sometimes it's a little bit cheaper. So it doesn't hurt to shop around and try to find, other brands. If they look the exact same, they're the same number, they're probably the exact same pigment. If you like this content, hit subscribe. I'll have more watercolor tutorials in the future. Thanks a lot and happy painting.